Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Keith's Hot Takes. And on today's show, I'm going to talk about my North Carolina Tar Heels going to their 30th Sweet 16. That's the most in college basketball. And then I have to go off about my Cowboys and their lackluster offseason. We've lost a lot of key players, and I think we're going to be very bad next year. So I'll definitely go in on that. But first, let's talk about my North Carolina Tar Heels, who are going to their first Sweet 16 since the 2018-2019 season. That year we lost to Auburn 97-80. I really hated that we couldn't send Luke May, Kenny Williams, Cameron Johnson out on a high note with a ring. If I remember correctly, I think it was Cameron Johnson and Nasir Little. They were kind of under the weather that week, and they really just weren't themselves that game. And Auburn had got hot, and they made a magical run that year. So we'll start with game one, round one, the round of 64. We smacked Marquette. We really put it on them, and that game was over at halftime. I think it was 53-28 at halftime, and the game was pretty much out of reach then. I was really glad we came out. Didn't play around with Marquette. We kind of started out kind of choppy. Both teams were missing shots, and then we just started clicking. Caleb Love and Brady Manick, they were just killing it from deep. Brady Manick hit 5 threes. Caleb Love hit 6 threes. Brady Manick led us with 28 points and 11 rebounds. Caleb Love, he was huge. He had 23 points. Armando Bacot, he had another double-double. That was his 26th double-double of the year. RJ Davis, he was huge. He was spreading the ball around. He had 12 assists. And Leaky Black had a big game, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. And he had Marquette's best player, Justin Lewis, in jail. That's nothing new when Leaky Black, is guarding you. He held Justin Lewis to 2 of 16 shooting and 6 points. He hit 2 threes. They're well contested, but he still got, his 2 threes, but he was 2 of 16. Phenomenal defensive performance by Leaky Black. And then our bench was huge. Puff Johnson had 11 points, 3 rebounds. Dontrez Styles, who is kind of looks like he's taking over the role that Nasir Little had in that 2018-2019 season, coming off the bench, crashing the glass. He's an athletic freak. He can really go up there and get some rebounds. He had 6 points and 6 rebounds. That was huge. And then we moved to the round of 32, where it took 10 years off my life. That game was very crazy, chaotic. We beat Baylor, the defending national champs, 93-86. RJ Davis led us in scoring that game. He had 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Brady Manick, he was in his bag like a receipt. In the second half, he finished with 26 points and 5 rebounds. It got so bad for Baylor. The refs, they felt bad for Baylor. They was like, we can't have the defending national champs get blown out by 25, get run off the floor. So Brady Manick, he elbowed Jeremy Sohan on a rebound. They were battling. Sohan pushed Brady Manick on the rebound, and then Brady Manick responded by elbowing Sohan. I don't think it was intentional, but Sohan, he seemed like, he was trying to get North Carolina players' heads, and he was just really a dirty player. And, he was doing stuff on purpose, hoping to get a reaction out of North Carolina's players. And unfortunately, a couple of times we did let him get to us. And, with a guy like that, you can't let him get in your head because he's really just there to get your guys out of their game and frustrated. And, hopefully it causes them to, mess up and stuff like that. And Armando Bacot, gracious, he had 15 points and 16 rebounds, and he had 3 blocks. So he was dominating the paint. Unfortunately, he picked up 2 silly, unnecessary fouls that really caused him to get in foul trouble in the second half. Getting into it with Sohan, and Mondo kind of let him get in his head, which like I said, you can't do with a guy like Sohan. And that really caused him to kind of have to play different in the second half, as he had 4 fouls, and luckily he didn't foul out because we already didn't have Brady Manick. So we really would have been in trouble if Mondo had fouled out. And Dontrez Styles was huge off the bench. He had 9 He had 9 points and 3 rebounds. So, like I said, these first two games, Dontrez Styles has come off the bench, gave us great defense. He's really athletic. He really, like, good God Almighty, he really goes up to the ceiling to get those rebounds. Uh, and like I said, our bench play has been phenomenal. We had a bunch of guys who normally don't, get a lot of playing time, but we needed them to step up with Caleb Love. He fouled out. Brady Manick ejected. So we kind of were playing a lot of guys that we hadn't played together all season. And, I think that's kind of why we unfortunately blew that 25-point lead. And one thing I'll say, North Carolina did not handle the press well. They did all the things you shouldn't do when you're getting pressed. Like Leaky Black, he kept frustrating me because he would go to the corner, which we call the coffin corner in basketball. And you never want to do that in basketball. You really want to spread out. Like I think it was Armando or RJ yesterday at the press conferences before they head off to Philly tonight, was saying that the two guards were supposed to be, right there trying to get the ball. Mondo was supposed to be at half court, and then no, yeah, Mondo was supposed to be at half court, and then Dontrez Styles, who was in the game at the time, he was supposed to be running long, and that's why I kept saying, like, why are we all bunched up right here at the ball? Somebody go long, somebody at mid court, spread out, because like I don't know what it is, but every time I see somebody press a team on any level, it seems like teams forget how to play basketball. Like it was just really frustrating. We just weren't playing smart. We really struggled getting the ball in. Baylor got hot. The refs really helped them get back in the game. They started calling all the calls against North Carolina, starting with the Brady Manick flagrant 2 ejection. And it was just really frustrating. But we weathered the storm, and we found a way to win this game, which was huge. And I think it shows how much we've grown since those 2 blowout losses in the middle of January to Wake Forest and to Miami. I was at the Wake Forest game, and we've come so far from that point. We've won 14 out of our last 17 games, and I feel like we're more connected as a team now. And you saw it when we blew that big lead, 25 points. Not playing smart, doing dumb stuff. We came together as a unit, and we found a way to win that game when it seemed like Baylor had all the momentum. It was lost. So I'm so proud of the guys for weathering the storm and finding a way to win that game. And now we move on to Friday night at 9:40 on CBS. Now we're going to Philly, and we probably are going to face our toughest competition so far in this tournament. Excuse me. Yeah, so UCLA, man, they're tough. They're big four: Johnny Juzang, Jules Bernard, Tiger Campbell, and Jaime Jaquez. Man, they're tough. These guys play a lot of minutes. I mean, they do use their bench, but they use these guys a lot because these are their best players. And this time of year, you want your best players on the floor. So we need Leaky Black to have the defensive game of his life, guarding Johnny Juzang. That's gonna be tough. I think we'll put Caleb Love on Jules Bernard, who can get hot. He can go off. Tiger Campbell, he'll probably be matched up with RJ Davis. That'd be a great point guard matchup. And Jaime Jaquez, him and Brady Manick, that's gonna be fun to watch. So my keys for us beating UCLA Friday night at 9:40, like I said, on CBS in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center. We got to limit their big four. We can't have them going off. Johnny Juzang, we got to keep him quiet. I know that's going to be hard. Caleb Love, we're going to need him to do a defensive masterpiece on Jules Bernard, who's very tall. He's very lengthy. So that's going to be tough. Those are 2 of their big-time scorers. RJ Davis, really just put a lot of pressure on Tiger Campbell. They don't really turn the ball over a lot, but, make them work for everything that they get, So I think that's going to be huge. And then Brady Manick and Brady Manick and Jaime Jaquez, that's going to be an entertaining matchup. I feel like Brady should make Jaime work when he's guarding Brady on the defensive end. Brady's really going to pull him from the basket, really stretch the floor. And if Brady Manic can keep this hot streak that he's got going in the postseason, uh, 28 in the first game and 26 in the second game, and I think Brady Mack was going for 40, heck, even 45, 50 points if the refs didn't, call off the dogs and, save Baylor because they were about to get drowned and ran off the floor. If he can keep up that hot shooting, he's averaging 27 points through these first two tournament games. That would help. Armando Bacot dominate the paint. Don't have no silly fouls. Don't let guys get in your head. Because that's what I'm pretty. I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like UCLA they're going to try to be physical with Mondo, try to get him out of his game. They do a great job on the glass, but I'm always take Mondo in the paint. That's my guy. I expect him to dominate the paint, and yeah, we can't afford for you to get in foul trouble. Because, like I said, we don't have another big, so we really got to play you the majority of the game. And we need our guards to play great, limit the turnovers. UCLA, they're not going to turn the ball over a lot, so we need to limit our turnovers. And whenever our guards play good, we usually play good. So that's something to watch. Get our bench to keep contributing. They've been huge in the first two games, 19 points in the first game. I think they had about 15 points in the second game, so that was huge. So whoever comes off the bench and whoever Coach Davis calls in to help us out, in that game, whether it's Dontrez Styles, Puff Johnson, Justin McCoy, whoever it is, just come in, play great defense, contribute wherever we need you on offense and defense, and what more can we ask for? And I forgot to mention it earlier, but Leaky Black held Matthew Meyer 3 points. Matthew Meyer, he started getting points once they switched Leaky Black off of him and moved him to Flagger. I think that's his name, for Baylor, who's a really good point guard. Another thing that has me concerned about this UCLA game Friday night, going back to that game, UCLA, they have a lot of experience. They're an old team, and older teams seem to do well in the tournament. North Carolina, we only have one guy who's been to the Sweet 16, and that's Leaky Black. And it took a half-court shot from Gonzaga last year to keep UCLA from the championship game. That Final Four game was one of the best Final Four games that I've seen in my lifetime. So they're hungry. They all came back. They're trying to get back to the national championship. So this one is going to be a dogfight Friday, but I'm rocking with my heels. And then if they do advance, they'll either play the winner of St. Peter's, who's having a magical run. They're 15 seed. They took down two schools from the state of Kentucky. And Kentucky, I was not expecting Kentucky to lose to St. Peter's. But St. Peter's, they've been really impressive. They play really well together as a team. And then they beat Murray State, who had only lost 2 games before that game. And now they're facing a Purdue team who has a lot of size, especially in their front court. Good gracious. They started a 7'4" guy, and then they bring a guy off the bench who's 6'10", and he's a load. He could be starting. And then you got Jaden Ivey, who I think is going to be a top 5 pick. So Purdue's going to be tough. That's going to be a great game. I think that game's going to start about 7 o'clock. And then North Carolina and UCLA will be 25 minutes to 30 minutes after that game. So really looking forward to that game and all the other Sweet 16 games and the Elite 8 games. And before I wrap up on this segment, I want to give North Carolina's women's basketball team a shout out. They're in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2015, and they'll take on powerhouse South Carolina Friday night at 7 o'clock in the Greensboro Coliseum. So Tar Heel fans, if you can make that trip to Greensboro, definitely do that and support the Lady Heels. They will really appreciate it as they're taking on, like I said, a very talented South Carolina team who's really well coached by Don Staley. So that's going to be a tough game for them, but I'm definitely pulling for the Lady Heels. Now let's talk about my Dallas Cowboys, who I'm very fed up with. So let's do that now. All right. Now, this talk has been long overdue. I wanted to do this a couple weeks ago when I heard that we were thinking about trading Amari Cooper, but I thought I would wait and see if things got better. And they've gotten really worse since then. So welcome to I'm Fed Up with My Dallas Cowboys. First, I'll give my thoughts on the moves that the front office has made this offseason, or lack thereof, I should say. So we started out, we released Greg Zuerlein. We waived Blake Jarwin, who unfortunately just can't stay healthy. Um, and then the news that really tore me up was when we decided to move on from Amari Cooper. And strangely, and I feel like it's a little disrespectful that we were only able to get a fifth and a sixth round pick from the Cleveland Browns for Amari Cooper. Um, and I feel like he's one of the best route runners in the NFL. And we were only able to get a fifth and a sixth round pick for him. Like we couldn't do anything better than that. Um, and I feel like Cleveland knew that we were really trying to, get off Amari Cooper. We were really trying to move on. So it really didn't take much, once they made a decent offer. We just said, we're gonna move on, which is crazy. And then we signed Michael Gallup to a new 5-year deal worth $57.5 million. I love Michael Gallup. He's our deep threat. Whenever we need a big play deep, he really takes his top off the coverage. But my concern with him is, like, if you throw him a slant route or an easy route like that, he'll act like he got baby oil on his gloves and he can't catch. He has some big time drops when it's not a contested catch, and that's what really, frustrates me and concerns me as a Cowboy fan, because now we're paying him all this money. We moved off Amari Cooper, who really had a great connection with Dak. Just look at how he dominated the first game of the season last year against Tampa. They couldn't deal with him. But I know Amari has, struggled with inconsistencies, and he would, have a couple weeks where he only has like 40, receiving yards, and it'd be really frustrating. And we all know that time that Stephon Gilmore locked him up so bad he made Amari go put on a coat in the rain. It was like, Amari's like, I've had enough, I'm done. He waves a white flag. So we'll have to see if the Cowboys do anything to address the wide receiver position in the draft. I don't think they'll, spend any money on a free agent, big time, receiver like that. I think they'll probably maybe address it in the draft. And also, Michael Gallup is coming off an ACL injury. He suffered that in the last regular season game. He was going up for a jump ball, basically. He came down wrong and he buckled his knee, unfortunately. So I hope Michael Gallup has a speedy recovery. And yeah, I don't know when he's going to be available. I doubt it's going to be to start the season, considering he had surgery in February. So I'm not very optimistic that he's going to be ready start of the regular season, I should say. We gave a franchise tag to Dalton Schultz. The thing that frustrates me about him is sometimes I feel like he goes down too easily. Like I'll be wanting him to, go a little further, but it seems like once, he catches the ball, he's not gonna go nowhere pretty much. So that's really frustrating with him. We lost Cedric Wilson to the Dolphins. He signed a 3-year deal with them for $23 million. I thought once we, decided to, I feel like it's going to be a mistake to move on from Amari Cooper. I thought we were going to try to find a way to get Michael Gallup and Cedric Wilson to remain Cowboys, but that was not the case. Cedric Wilson, he seemed to have a great connection with Dak. I was really hoping we could bring him back, but I wish him nothing but the best. And we also lost Connor Williams to the Dolphins. I'm not really upset about that because he has some holding calls at the worst times. I mean, we'll have a big play, and then next thing you know, boop, it's coming back, holding on 52. I'm really nervous and scared for Tua because Connor Williams, he really struggles when you bull rush him. Like, he'll get blown back into the quarterback. So I'm really nervous, and I'm going to pray for Tua. But yeah, that one definitely not upset about that one. I hope we address that in the draft. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Then we lost Randy Gregory. This one really, really hurt. He signed with Denver for a 5-year, $70 million deal. Um, Basically, from my understanding, it was some language in the contract at the last minute that Randy Gregory's agent didn't like, which is basically was saying, if he gets fined or suspended, the Cowboys can take back some of that money he's already earned. I don't really, like that where, a guy's earned the money and yeah, he'll mess up, excuse me, or get fined for something, you can take his money back. I don't like that. I feel like he's earned it. Yeah, he messed up, but I really don't think that should be, allowed where you can take somebody's money back, if they, mess up or something like that when they've earned it. And that caused him to sign with Denver, we have to be careful, when you do stuff like that, you got other teams hot on their trail that want to sign them, and then you do something like that. I know Randy Gregory, he'll have some horrible penalties at the worst time. They'll extend drives and stuff like that, but he's a hellraiser off the edge, and I'll show it in a second. But the play where he nearly decapitated Mac Jones, that's a play that I'll always remember from last season. I think somebody got him mad. I think he got a couple penalties or something like that, and it just made him mad. But yeah, why don't we go ahead and check that out now, and then I'll come back and give some more thoughts about Randy Gregory and how we're going to miss him.
Oh my God. Oh my God. God's my witness. He is broken in half.
So as you see on that play, Randy Gregory came flying off the edge. Mac Jones didn't see him, and woo, he put a hit on Mac Jones. Good God Almighty. So yeah, we're really gonna miss Randy Gregory. We did re-sign Dorrance Armstrong, who came on last year. He showed some flashes. We re-signed him on a 2-year deal, and we also re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence on a 3-year, $40 million deal. 30 million is guaranteed. What really frustrates me about the DeMarcus Lawrence thing is he said Stephen Jones and them, they at first they offered him only a 1-year deal worth $10 million. And I was like, I feel like that's kind of disrespectful for everything that Tank has done for our football team, and he's the heart and soul of our defense. And I was really like concerned when I saw that we were going to move on from him, Amari Cooper, and Lyle Collins, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit. It was like our defense wouldn't be the same without Tank. I know a lot of fans don't think he does enough as far as the pass rusher, but when he contributes in the run game and stuff like that, he does other things that makes him worth his money. Um, so I'm really glad we got him back on the Cowboys. Hopefully, he's a Cowboy for life. Um, so we re-signed Leighton Vander Esch for a 1-year deal. I'm really hoping we can find a way to get Bobby Wagner on the Cowboys. I think him and Micah Parsons would be a scary, scary linebacker duo that could cause problems for the NFL the next 3 to 4 years. So yeah. And then I moved to Lyle Collins. We released him. He signed with the Bengals, on a 3-year deal. Joe Burrow now has a right tackle who's going to protect him and is going to make sure that he, doesn't get touched. Because I think the Bengals' offensive line was their weakness, and I think considering how loaded the AFC is now, which you got Deshaun Watson who's going to the Browns. Shout out to my guy E. I know he's happy that he has a quarterback now. I know he wasn't a big fan of Baker Mayfield. So congratulations to your Browns, E. And you look at that division, they got Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and you got Deshaun Watson. Those young guns are going to be battling for the next 10 to 12 years in that division. We'll have to see who Pittsburgh is going to get as their quarterback. But yeah, that division is going to be loaded. You look at the AFC West, you got Derek Carr. They gave him his old college teammate, Devontae Adams. He's a Raider now. They added Chandler Jones. The Browns, the Broncos, they brought in Russell Wilson. They traded for him. I feel like that's really going to help them, considering how, I feel like they were a quarterback away from competing. So I think that's really going to, take their offense to another level. And then you look at the Chargers, they've really bulked up on their defense, added J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack. So I think that defense is going to be tough, and you need a defense in this division. When we have the firepower on offense that you have from all four teams in this division. I saw right before I came on the air that Tyreek Hill is now a Dolphin. It seemed like the Chiefs didn't want to, make him the highest paid receiver in the NFL. So he was like, I want out. And they traded him to the Dolphins. I think that's really going to hurt the Chiefs in this division, considering how much better everybody has gotten this offseason. So I really think that's going to hurt them. We'll see. Um, so, yeah, I think if the Cowboys were in a division like the AFC West or the AFC North, maybe they would be a little more aggressive in free agency. But maybe they're thinking like, we got Daniel Jones in our division, we got Carson Wentz going to the Commanders, and we got Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. So the teams in our division, they're really bad. It's going to take a lot for them to get better. So maybe that's why the Cowboys are so comfortable, not being aggressive in free agency. But I feel like you need to have a mix of drafting good and making a splash or two or three in free agency. I don't think you can just rely on the draft to make your team better and have a Super Bowl contender. I feel like you need a good balance of youth and experience. Now I know the Bengals, they did draft Jamar Chase 5th overall last year, and they got a life-changing guy like that. They went all the way to the Super Bowl, but um, I think that was more about, Joe Burrow coming back, healthy. The Bengals, they had a quarterback, a legit quarterback. And I think, yes, Jamar Chase was a big reason why they made it to the Super Bowl. But if you look at their Super Bowl opponent, the Rams, and how they went all in on, trying to build a Super Bowl contender with some big time trades. They brought in Matthew Stafford. They signed Odell. They traded for Von Miller. So I would love for the Cowboys to be aggressive like that, but it just doesn't seem like that's what they're interested in. And it's really frustrating because if you look at it back in the 90s, way before I was born, when Jerry made trades for guys like Deion Sanders and Charles Haley, like you have to do stuff like that, if you want to become a Super Bowl contender. And I don't know why Jerry has went away from that when it was working for him in the 90s. And now we really don't hardly ever, spend big in free agency. So it's very frustrating. We did re-sign safety Malik Hooker to a 2-year deal worth $8 million. That's gonna be huge. I feel like he started to come on at the end of the season. He was coming off that that Achilles injury, and I feel like that it took him a while to bounce back from that. And we re-signed Jaron Curse, who was huge for us last year. He was everywhere. So I'm really happy we brought those guys back. Can't wait to see what they do in year 2. And then Friday we signed James Washington and Dante Fowler, who just hadn't lived up to what he was. He was drafted real high, and he just really hasn't lived up to those expectations. So maybe he'll be a rotational piece on our defensive line. But I'm really excited about the James Washington pickup. He's going to do kind of what Michael Gallup does. He really goes up for the jump balls. He's a really good receiver. I think he's going to really help us out. We needed a receiver after losing Amari Cooper. So I'm really excited to see what James Washington can do for us. And we were supposedly making a push for Jadarius Smith, but he signed with the Vikings. So if I had to give the Cowboys a letter grade for this offseason, I'm gonna be nice. Well, not really, but I'm gonna give them a D- because I really think we're a lot worse than we were last year. And I'm really concerned about how good this team is going to be this year. With everything we've lost, and we haven't really got we haven't got better at all this offseason. So I'm really concerned. So I would definitely go with a D minus just because of how lackluster it's been. We've done a few good things, but overall it's been very lackluster, and I was expecting more out of this offseason from the Cowboys. So really, what I want them to do in free agency and the draft to close out this segment, I really want them to, hopefully add a D in. I feel like that wouldn't hurt after we lose a guy like Randy Gregory. Maybe add a receiver probably in the draft. I don't really see us going out and you know getting any free agent receivers. I think we'll maybe address that in the draft. Maybe we need a left guard and we need a center because Connor Williams and Tyler Biotish, they were really bad last year, and I really think those are two positions we need to address early on in the draft. We have 9 picks, so hopefully we address that, and hopefully we can improve, our secondary, especially at corner. Uh, Trayvon Diggs, he's a really solid corner, but sometimes he gets his way too much and tries to jump routes and stuff like that. Anthony Brown, excuse me. He really some games he'll be really really great, and then some games he'll get picked on, he'll get cooked, he'll get 100 yards put on his head. So I really think we need to address our cornerback position. Probably need to get a tight end. We did, franchise tag Dalton Schultz, but I definitely think we definitely need to add another tight end, a dynamic tight end. It's going to be a really great draft for tight ends. So hopefully we can do that. And we'll probably get a kicker late in the draft, probably one of our last picks. So yeah, I just hopefully we get better once the draft comes around, and I'm hoping we can make one or two moves here in free agency though. Had me a little more optimistic about this team. So we have to wait and see. All right, guys. Well, that does it for Keith's Hot Takes today. I appreciate all you guys supporting. It means a lot. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you're already, not subscribed to my YouTube channel. It would be greatly appreciated. And I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. The plan right now is to do a recap of season 1 of Bel Air with my guy Vonnie. You guys really enjoyed the first podcast you did about Bel Air. I think you did about the first 4 episodes, 4 or 5 episodes. So you guys really enjoyed that. So I'm gonna see if I can get him back on next week, and we'll recap the whole season of Bel Air and talk about what we're looking forward to in season 2, as it's already been renewed for season 2, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely looking forward to that, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.